Now, state school graduates are likely to earn thousands of pounds a year less than their counterparts from fee-paying schools, long after they've graduated from university. The educational charity, the Sutton Trust, says part of the problem is a lack of non-academic skills, such as articulacy and assertiveness. The research found that, on average, graduates who've been privately educated will earn £4,500 more after 3 years than their state-educated counterparts. The average salary for a graduate from a fee-paying school is just over £36,000, compared with £31,500 for someone who went to a state school. Well, joining us now from central London to discuss this further are Dominic Baker, who's the founder and chief executive of Future Frontiers, which gives careers support to young people, and Ryan Wayne, a director at the advertising agency TBWA. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us. I think I might just add one thing to that, those statistics we gave out, is that this is looking at companies like law and financial services. So that puts us in a certain ballpark career path anyway. But first of all, Ryan Wayne, are you surprised by this, that public school graduates seem to earn a little more in the first few years?
No, I'm not. So I'm state educated and proudly state educated. I'm from the wonderful city of Liverpool, as you probably tell from this dodgy accent. And I think I went to university in London, and when I arrived there, there was a feeling that I was a little bit different. And in a professional sense, a lot of my privately educated counterparts arrived with a ready-made network, and I think things like that helped them as they progressed through the career ladder, especially in the subject I studied, which was law. And in terms of what the Sutton Trust pointed out around soft skills, I think that's entirely right. I think there's an underconfidence, if you like, among state-educated students, especially when they're in the university environment. I think they feel it more than ever there.
So, Ryan, when you started out in the world of work, or even at university, your contemporaries, or some of them at least, you felt were more confident, that they had a better network already made for them to negotiate once they graduated.
Exactly.
And also you felt that, your accent held you back, or your schooling held you back, or the university you went to? What was...
I mean, my accent was certainly commented on. And actually, over a while it became a point of difference and something which I celebrated. But for the first few months, phone calls home to my mum, they were sad ones, where I felt a little bit different, and it wasn't a positive feeling. In terms of my private school counterparts, I've nothing against what school people went to. I've nothing against people from private education. But there was a feeling that they always felt older than me. These guys were well travelled. They'd been exposed to dinner party conversation with lawyers and doctors, a sort of thing which I'd never experienced before.
It's interesting what you say there. Dominic Baker, you work with young people a lot. I mean, what Ryan's been saying, does much of that chime with you?
Absolutely, yeah. And what I think today the report is showing that young people from disadvantaged backgrounds aren't having the guidance. You touched on it a little bit, the networks. They're not having the experiences, a whole host of things and opportunities that young people and young adults, when they're at university, are missing out on. And the government, I think, as well as charities such as our own, such as Teach First and Outreach, who co-wrote this report, have got a lot to do to fill that gap.
But, OK, so they don't have the network, they don't have the privileges, of which we can all imagine what those might be. And yet when they both get, two individuals get the same job at the same company, the one that has the privilege of the better education or the private education finds himself earning £4,500 more than the other in 3 years. Why would you think that is?
Well, the report shows that there's a lack of assertiveness as one of the options it points to, a lack of potentially confidence going into the workplace. So when people are going for interviews, when they're in the workplace, they're able to progress much further because they've got those soft skills that are allowing them to get there. And I also think once they get to those top jobs, I think private school people or young people feel that they deserve to be there, and actually they've been surrounded by that environment their whole lives, which makes it much easier for them to progress.
So, Ryan Wayne, we're boiling down to sort of soft skills and also perhaps a sense of entitlement. People from a private education are more comfortable when things go well.
Yeah, I think there's a number of factors surrounding those guys. I mean, the fact that, when it comes to negotiation, they'll have probably better advice and guidance. I imagine their parents and contemporaries will be people who are used to negotiating a salary. And for me personally, when I grew up, my dad was a taxi driver, my mum now a teacher, but at the time they were both on hourly wages. And what's interesting about that is that you feel as if you owe the employee something. You're always chasing shift work and always chasing that extra pay. And I think it's took me a while to realise that I'm of value to an employer, and I have a value attached to me, and I have to feel that self-worth to negotiate what that value is. And that took a while to get there, but I think my private school counterparts arrive readily armed with that.
Dominic Baker, I mean, much of this is obvious, of course, if you've come from a comfortable, established background, and as Ryan was saying, you sat down when you're a child, dinner parties with lawyers and all the rest of it, that's going to give you a push forward. Some of that's just bound to happen. Is there anything we can do to legislate, to change things, to solve some of that, to even out the playing field a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, careers guidance has taken a massive hit in the last few years. Face-to-face careers guidance was hit, which is why we've come up with our coaching program at Future Frontiers. It's a number of factors. It's about getting kids into the workplace to really experience what it's like and have those experiences that will give them all of those skills. It's multifactorial. It's not one answer here. And we do know what the answers are. There's the Gatsby report that lists the 8 benchmarks of great careers guidance that will help kids get into the careers and stay there and then earn more. There's lots of information out there. Actually, what needs to be done is backing those organisations that do it really well.
It's very interesting stuff, gentlemen. Thanks both of you, Dominic Baker and Ryan Wayne, for joining us
Thank you.
this afternoon here on Sky News.